The system created by the market of consumerism was created by companies not long after the Industrial Revolution, as factories started getting bigger and stabilizing a quicker process with industrial machines becoming integrated into the process of production. A huge growth in the output of products became a historical relevancy. The sustainability behind a company's longevity remains in the process of continual reproduction of a product and a consumer's dependency on the products being made. This is where thoughts of obsolescence started to become manifested. The idea behind obsolescence means that the companies will continually produce products that will serve a limited amount of use and intentionally become unusable. The designers intentionally make this happen by sabotaging their designs to become useless after a certain point. As this happens, the consumer is forced into the situation of having to buy a new product. This is the cycle of consumerism. Reflecting on modern-day society, it's absolutely evident that our culture is relentlessly consuming in this fashion, quick to replace what is seemingly dysfunctional without any recall or desire to fix or mend the product ourselves. This is a very lazy and dependent way of living. For example, when referring to clothing, if everybody had the knowledge of mending clothes, there would surely be a decline in the amount of clothing that is purchased and obviously created. Knowing how to customize our own things would put an end to the saturation of products in the market. Products are being invented all the time, whether it be an electronic product used to aid your everyday-to-day routine, or an item used to reflect and symbolize your class status or social status. Many products are being made that aren't useful at all to society. Products that hide under a facade of eliminating steps and tasks that aren't difficult at all, and yet prove not to even work. This system of production and consumption can basically be represented in any type of product. Mass production started to become more relevant in the time around 1920s. At the same time, planned obsolescence started to become more integrated into products, and products started becoming more inclined to be made cheaply and sold for much more than its legitimate price. But due to this mass production, products became much more widely available to all classes, so prices fell and people started to become invested in the material lifestyle. Not long after this indulgent economy, the Wall Street stock market went through a crash and went into an economic recession. Out of this traumatic event, Bernard London, a real estate broker, suggested the idea of forced obsolescence in about the same time of the market crash. He suggested this concept to bring back balance to the working class and the economy, a balance between rewarding the capital and need for labour. His idea was denied though. 20 years later, in the 1950s, the idea was regenerated, but with an alternative catch. Consumers must be persuaded by the product with the planned obsolescence instead of it being integrated into mandatory law. Brooke Stevens, a designer and inventor, became the spokesperson for this new founded way of consuming. To quote Niels Norman's artist questionnaire, creating networks of discourse and then closing them down again is an important method of mobilizing ideas before some of the more rapacious curator types and boring cash-driven artist entrepreneurs consume them. This statement in reference to obsolescence reflects that planned obsolescence and sustainable retailing almost coincide with each other. This saturation and culmination of planned obsolescence and advertising to persuade and manipulate the consumer will eventually reach a tipping point, purposefully or accidentally, and through these intermissions where the game is controlled by those in power, presents an opportunity to shift or to reflect on the system and its cognitive functions, stabilizing the production and process of products and items distributed amongst the public without the oversaturation and interference of extreme advertising. Could have been a useful deterrent and possible alternate outcome in regards to the situation we now face as a human race, with the slow degeneration and deterioration of the natural world. The idea of persuading a consumer possibly could have been eliminated, and with the limited amount of time placed on the service of a product by law, products could have possibly been made to deteriorate with a positive and maybe harmonious impact on the environment, instead of culminating a tumultuous amount of irreversible damage that materials such as plastic can leave stained on the world. It can be argued that in the given context that this way of distribution was to be implemented in the 1950s, it could have caused a dramatic effect on the earth, as mass production was overflowing over the consumer. But I still believe in theoretical dire situations like these, force people to design and come up with an alternative, not only in the interval of finishing the product but also in its extraction from the world's natural resources all the way through its build, through the marketing and finishing from the consumer. From the extraction of materials from the natural resources in the earth, combined with the numerous chemical substances in factories, to the process involved with the marketing and job scarcity and labour rights, to the final use of products and their everlasting effects on the earth in their ways of being disposed, either burnt, buried, or literally just thrown away. The problem isn't just planned obsolescence, but the whole way the system works is crippling the environment and everybody inhabiting it. The materials used in these products is crucial to the sustainability. I believe if we can find alternative materials used not only in packaging but also in electronic items and clothing, and all products that fall under the umbrella of planned obsolescence, we can bring a positive shift. And for the items that not need to be constantly replaced, such as cars, computers, to create jobs that continue the updating of these products in a physical labouring means. It is a journey towards the ideal or desired self that, through cyclical loops of desire and disappointment, becomes a seemingly endless process of serial destruction, a quote from Jonathan Chapman's Design for Emotional Durability. If we can look through the media's manipulation and the facade that products will install a glamorous new self for us, and realise the model of ourselves is perfect the way it is, then we can reflect this acknowledgement onto ourselves as a global community and onto the world, and achieve an enlightenment crucially needed at this time.